Hey guys, back again with another video. Games I've played recently video. Yet again, got a few games here. I might review some of these later if people want some more in-depth thoughts on some of these, but I'm just going to briefly go over each game here. The first one's a digital-only release, Rhythm Heaven Megamix. And I know a lot of people were disappointed by the fact that there's no physical release for this game, only in Europe actually, and they're getting it like way later. It's very expensive in Canada. It's like $52 or something like that. I don't know, unless you're like a hardcore Rhythm Heaven fan like me, I don't know if it's really worth it, but for the $30 that it's going for in the US, it's totally worth it. And this is easily the most accessible game in the series yet. And it's always known to be kind of like a hardcore rhythm game series. It's very difficult, especially when you get to some of the later minigames. And this one basically takes games from the Game Boy Advance one, the DS one, and the Wii one, as well as adding some new minigames in. And you can use stylus-based controls or button-based controls. And the DS game was like my least favorite in the series because I really thought the stylus controls were not accurate enough for like the timing that you needed. For in a lot of those games. And the structure is a little different here. The tutorials are a lot better than they've been in the past, and they actually help you with the timing, the exact timing you need for certain mini games. So I think it's a great starting point for people wanting to get into the series. And the level of charm is just off the charts in this game. It's hilarious. A lot of the mini games are just really funny and amusing to watch. I like a lot of the new ones, and some of my favorites from the Wii game return. I don't know if I like it as much as the Wii one. It's not hooking me as much for whatever reason. I don't know why that is. I may felt the Wii one was maybe a little more focused. The structure in this game is kind of weird. There's a story this time around with some dialogue. It's not too intrusive, and it's actually pretty funny, but you can easily just skip past it if you don't like it. And you're kind of going through these very simple mini games in the beginning, and you'll eventually reach these, and you'll be getting like coins and all these different items that you can use in a shop, which I really like. I always like that kind of progression, unlocking new mini games that way. And obviously a big thing with the Rhythm Heaven series is going for perfect ratings, you know, getting through these mini games without missing a note, which is very difficult once you get to some of the later games. The remix stages are back where they combine a bunch of different mini games into one song. All the music in this game is fantastic and incredibly varied. Everything from like jazz to like samba type songs to like heavy metal to pop music. It's all in there. It's a really fun, charming game. It's quite addictive as well. The only thing I don't really like is the first half of the game progression-wise, because you have to save up your coins and do like these toll mini games that kind of prevent you from going further, and they can be a little rough with the timing. Actually, it takes a while to kind of get used to them. And you can pay like a small amount of coins for like a hard mode version, or if you want to do like an easy mode version and just get past it as fast as possible, you have to pay like a good portion of coins. So if you're not really good at the game and you're kind of getting used to it, you might get stuck at these toll gates and have to kind of replay mini games you've already done to get coins back to try again, and that's kind of lame. Luckily, that's only for the first half of the game. The second half of the game is more similar in structure to the previous Rhythm Heaven games, and that's when I started to find that the game started to get its groove back, and I was starting to have more fun with it. I haven't finished it yet. I'm probably close, but I'm stuck on this cat mini game. I just can't get the timing for it, where you have these mice and they're running on this track, and yeah, there's a cat in the background that's gonna try to attack them, and you kind of I forget, like you put like a plate over the mice to kind of stop, and you have to time it all to like this rhythm. It's I don't know. It's one of those mini games I might have to just actually stop looking at the screen and all like the visuals that are going on and just go by the rhythm. And that's one of the satisfying things with the series, is when you're able to actually get through a song without looking at the screen, just closing your eyes and just tapping along to the rhythm. But really good stuff. Incredibly fun game, incredibly charming, and I think it's the best game to play for newcomers to the series. I think they've done a really great job in that regard. I don't know. It is weird. Like in some ways, I do feel like it's hard to explain why I feel like it's inferior to the Wii one, but for whatever reason, it's not gripping me quite as much as that one did. Maybe because at that point that was like the first button-based Rhythm Heaven game I'd played, so it was kind of fresh to me. The DS one was the first one I played, and the stylus controls never quite gelled with me. But yeah, if you're a Rhythm Heaven fan, or even if you're not a fan, I think it's definitely worth picking up. Unless you just despise rhythm games, I mean, that's the only situation where I could see where I wouldn't recommend the game to you. But yeah, really enjoying that one. All right, and the next game is a game I just finished not too long ago, and that's Zero Time Dilemma, the third Zero Escape game. And if you know me, I've been excited for this game. The previous game, Virtue's Last Reward, is one of my favorite games of all time. I think it was like ranked like number 4 in my top 10 games of all time video I did not too long ago. So yeah, I was hyped for this game, and I can like this. There's a lot to say about this game. This is one of those games that I would like to do a review. And don't worry for people that haven't played this yet or haven't played the previous game. I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm just going to give very brief opinions here in this video because yeah, I could go on for like an hour about this game basically. I honestly, it's probably the weakest of the 3 in my opinion. There's like I don't know. There's a few different reasons for that. I did like it the more I played it. In fact, I think like towards the end, like the last 5 hours or so, I was hooked. Like in the same way that I was hooked with previous games. But like with 999 and VLR, right from the beginning and all the way till the end, I was just totally addicted. I just didn't want to stop playing them. Where this one, I had to take breaks actually, and it's I liked the ending. I think the ending was satisfying. I thought there was a lot of great like what the fuck moments, especially towards the end. But yeah, the way this game tells its story, it makes sense. I understand why they did it, but it makes the game not as like gripping or like as exciting as previous games. Because the big thing with this one is like well, no, I can't. I'm not actually going to talk. I can't talk about it that much. I really don't want to spoil it. I know because this is one of those really story-driven series that if you talk about it too much in depth, a lot of people will get angry. But all I'll say is the way the story is structured in this game, I didn't like compared to previous games. And the cutscenes, that's not a spoiler. This game has cutscenes replacing like the visual novel sequences. So instead of reading a bunch of text, you've got like these Telltale style cutscenes. The problem is they look like shit. They're poorly directed. Like the animation is really bad in them, and it creates a lot of like these awkward moments. And it's one of those things where I just honestly preferred like the visual novel format of the previous game. The atmosphere in this one wasn't quite as like unsettling as previous games, even though the gore in this is like ratcheted up to like crazy degrees compared to the previous ones. The story has got some things about it that I don't like, that's for sure. And the puzzle rooms in this game, I couldn't stand them. And that's weird for me because 999 and VLR, I thought they were tolerable. Like as someone that doesn't like puzzles in games and doesn't like puzzle games in general, I actually kind of enjoyed the puzzle rooms in 999 and VLR. And VLR, I got stuck a few times. There was a few rooms where I had to use a guide to get through them. But 999 I was able to get through on my own. And I suck at puzzle games, so I was surprised I was able to get through VLR just fine. But this game, I had to use a guide so many times in this game. I don't know what it was with the puzzles in this, but they just drove me insane. I didn't find them fun, and the ones that I was able to get through without any help, I just didn't find them satisfying. Anytime I would get to a puzzle room in this game, it was just kind of irritating and tedious. I just wanted to get through them as fast as possible to get to the story. Which I really can't say about the previous games. And the way this game is structured, there's a lot of puzzles with its story that I think are pretty obtuse. A couple of them are complete bullshit. Like, this is the kind of game that I don't know how anyone would get through this game without using a guide, like, at least once. Like, I would have to imagine anyone that plays this game would have to use it at least once. Like, there's a lot of bullshit. And the puzzle rooms being kind of like annoying really impacted my enjoyment of this game, especially in the first half, where this game, a lot of the puzzle rooms are loaded in the first half. In fact, like throughout the second half of the game, there's like no puzzle rooms at all. which is different compared to the previous games. And I don't know, in that sense, I found the first half to be weaker than the second half. Um, but the soundtrack is kind of lazy too. A lot of it is like songs from 999 and VLR that are remixed. And as great as those songs are, I do wish there was more original music. The original music in this game is good. In fact, I like a lot of it. A lot of it sounds like Silent Hill music, which I liked. But there's also a few songs that I thought were overly cheesy and didn't really fit with the tone of the game. But yeah, overall, I did enjoy my time with it. I originally I was leaning on this game being a disappointment, especially with the first half, but it started to redeem itself in the second half, and by the end, I was really enjoying it. And overall, I think it mostly lived up to my expectations. And yeah, the trilogy as a whole, I think is fantastic, and I think is worth playing. Completely worth playing. I really think like these games have some of the most ambitious and interesting storytelling in video games. So if you haven't played this series, definitely get started on 999. Apparently, they're actually going to be porting that to other systems as well as Virtue's Last Reward. I'm guessing Vita and Steam for 999, and then Steam with Virtue's Last Reward. But that's awesome. The more people that can play this game, the better. So yeah, Zero Time Dilemma. I might do like a massive spoiler review on this. Although I might be doing like a podcast maybe with some other people on this game too, because I know quite a few people that are playing through this. So we'll see. I'm not done talking about this game. I will definitely return to talk about this game. But yeah, those are kind of my brief spoiler-free thoughts on it. And the next game, I'm still playing through this one because it's a long game. And this is another game I might do a review on this later. Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE. Yeah, this is one of those games I've actually been looking forward to this. The J-pop idol type storyline this game has never really been that appealing to me, but the battle system looked fun, and the actual like gameplay, moment to moment gameplay looked pretty great. Like the dungeons looked quite interesting, and it looked like Persona in a lot of ways. There's a lot to say about this game. Obviously, started out as Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem, and what we got is probably like when you think Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem, I think this would not cross your mind at all. And the Fire Emblem content with this game, I gotta say, it definitely more leans towards like the Shin Megami Tensei side. I mean, this is a Shin Megami Tensei game. I'll flat out say it. Like, it has almost nothing to do with Fire Emblem. In fact, the only thing it has to do with Fire Emblem, basically, are some of the characters from that series make appearances as your... What do they call them? Your Mirage, I guess? Basically, your Persona in these games. And you get, like, some Fire Emblem-type sound effects. The level-up system is kind of like Fire Emblem, where you get just random boosts to your stats. Some of the weapons, from what I've seen, seem to be pulled from Fire Emblem. But I mean, like, this isn't a strategy RPG. It doesn't take a lot of like mechanics and systems from that series. It's mostly a Shin Megami Tensei game, and it's a really good one so far. I'm about what am I, like 12 hours in, I think. This game is supposed to be like 60 hours long, so it's going to take me a while to get through this. But I'm really enjoying it. Like, I'm having a blast with this game. Now, like, the story is definitely a little cheesy and over the top, and it's got, like, that J-pop idol thing where your characters are, like, high schoolers, and one of the main characters, I forget what her name is, but she's trying to be, like, an idol. But, yeah, the story is pretty crazy. It's interesting enough. I'm surprised I'm not, like, completely bored by it. But the gameplay is where it's at in this game. You have, like, real-life Tokyo to explore, which I always love that in JRPGs. You're going into these dungeons with some interesting puzzles, which I normally hate puzzles in dungeons, but the puzzles in the dungeons in this game are pretty interesting. The character progression and battle system are what I like most about this game, though. The battle system is, traditional turn-based, very similar to Persona, but the main thing is that like the session attacks, where basically if you do like a lightning attack with one of your characters, and one of your other characters has a session skill called like Lightning Cleave, Basically, your one character will use the lightning attack, and then that character will use a session attack, and it's kind of like a follow up attack. And this kind of reminds me of the press turn system in a lot of ways. So you can kind of create these combos with your characters. And obviously, this is based on weaknesses too. So the enemy you're fighting has to be weak to an electric attack. And if you attack with that weakness, your next character will attack. And if that enemy dies, then the next character will attack like another enemy. So the main thing with this battle system is trying to combo together different moves and kind of studying enemies and kind of figuring out their weaknesses and making sure like you get through the battles quickly with like these chain of commands. And character progression is pretty interesting. You get all like these different weapons that you can kind of like purchase in a way with like these performas that you get from enemies in the dungeons. So you're kind of constantly kind of leaving and entering these dungeons and going to like this home base where you can kind of create weapons. And different weapons have different skills, and different skills are better for different situations. So you're constantly equipping different weapons, and when you level up your weapons, you'll get new skills for your characters. So between that and like the leveling up system, I'm actually really enjoying like the RPG mechanics to this game. There's also a bunch of like character specific skills you can get with the different like performa that you'll find throughout the dungeons. The battle system is just really snappy. It's fast paced. It's fun. It's challenging on the normal difficulty at least. Some of these boss battles, like you really have to know what you're doing and kind of really understand how to take them down properly. It's the music is surprisingly good. Like you have like these anime music video type things with like J-pop music, which that whatever. I'm not into that so much, but the actual music in game, like in the dungeons and when you're walking around throughout the city, is actually really good. I like it quite a bit. I'm sure there's actually probably more to this game that's going to open up, like with its battle system and mechanics. Because I am only like 12 hours in. I'm only on like am I on the second or third dungeon? I can't remember. I dropped this game once Zero Time Dilemma came out, and I haven't gone back to it yet. But I'm definitely planning to go through this next. Because yeah, I'm having a really good time with it. It's fun. Also, like the characters. I like the characters a lot in this game too. I think they're really likable. The only thing I'm not crazy about with this game is like it's got a Japanese dub. Like it doesn't have an English dub. It's only English subtitles. And in battle, your characters have all these quotes, but you actually can't understand what they're saying. They're not subbed in battle. So I feel like I'm missing some characterization and with like the interactions there, which is kind of it's a little disappointing. But other than that, though, and like the kind of J-pop type like style that this game has, it's not really my thing overall. But like the game itself is just a blast. Like it's a really fun turn-based RPG. I highly recommend this. And it's one of those games that I think is going to get expensive and hard to find in the future. I can't imagine Nintendo printed too many of these. Like it's such a niche game, and like the name is crazy. I don't know. It's especially that limited edition. I think that's going to be really hard to find in the future. And it is a Nintendo published game, so it's not going to go down in price. If anything, it's going to go up. So if you have an interest in this game, I definitely recommend getting it as soon as you can, before it gets outrageous with the prices. It's also one of the last Wii U games. There's like hardly any other Wii U games coming out, and it's definitely the last RPG on the system, even though there's like no RPGs on the system, period. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this. All right, and finally, leave the worst game for last, and that is Mighty Number 9 on the Wii U. I've talked about this before. I've had it pre-ordered for a long time. I had it in a box still, and I was debating whether to open it. And I decided, what the hell? This game was cheap. Like, it didn't cost me much, and I didn't want to go through the hassle of returning it, because I would have to return it by mail to get a refund or something like that. So I figured, what the hell, I'll give it a chance, even though I heard the Wii U version was easily the worst and like that suffered from major technical issues. But I decided, what the hell, I'm such a hardcore Mega Man fan. Even though I didn't actually back the Kickstarter for this game, I'm glad I didn't. But I've played a significant amount of this game. I've done almost most of the stages. I think I have like one stage left. It's like I can't, like, I hate the stage so much that I don't even want to go through with it. But I haven't beat the game. I'm not going to. I'm dropping this game. Like, I'm sorry, this game sucks. I like. I know there's a lot of like this game's weird. I think the critics are like a lot of people have called out the critics for being overly harsh on it. And like to be fair, I wouldn't say like this game is like horrendous or anything, but I don't think it's very good. I think it's pretty poor, honestly. There's a lot about this game that I fucking can't stand, and honestly, like even some of like the weaker Mega Man games of like the original series, I much prefer to this. Like I'll give me Mega Man 8 or Mega Man and Base or Mega Man 7 any day over this shit. And I think one of the problems with this game, one of the main things is, I guess it's expectations. I guess when they kickstarted it, it's like it was like considered a spiritual successor to Mega Man, yet it's not really like Mega Man at all. Honestly, like on a surface level, it seems like it is, but it's kind of not. But there's a lot to say about this game. There, this video might go on longer just because of this, but I don't really want to review this game. So this is basically my review right here. Okay, first off, the Wii U version. If you're gonna play this game, at least try to play it on the PS4 or Xbox One. At least the frame rate is stable enough there. This game drops to like 10 frames per second constantly, and the game looks like shit. We'll talk about the visuals first. This game looks terrible. It's like this ugly 3D art that's just abysmal. Obviously, the cheap pizza looking explosions are the worst of it, but it's not an attractive game. It looks ugly, and the character designs are horrendous. Like only some of the bosses, design wise, I actually liked. And it's baffling that a game that looks this shitty runs this shitty. I don't understand it. Like, honestly, Mega Man 1 on the NES looks better than this fucking game. Like, I'm serious. But then again, I've always been like a fan of 2D art over 3D art, especially really bad 3D art like this one. But I compare this to like Shovel Knight, and it's just pathetic. Man. But I think the worst thing about this Wii U version are the loading times. When you die in this game, it's at least 15 seconds, like 12 to 15 seconds before you come back. And this game's hard. It's got like the challenge of like the Mega Man games, although I feel like it's honestly just plain cheap a lot of the times. And it's got like the same life system as in the Mega Man games, where you start with a limited number of lives, and you go throughout these stages, and if you die, you have to do it all over again. Uh, like the problem is though that these levels are so fucking long. Like the game's challenging, but it's not balanced around the challenge. Where like you don't have enough lives to get through like these levels and these bosses, like these damage sponge bosses, and there's like checkpoints are completely random. Sometimes the checkpoints will be generous. Other times you have to go back like way back in these levels and have to go through all this shit all over again. And then combine that with the fact that every time you die, you're going to be waiting 12 to 15 seconds. It's excruciating. Like, imagine if you're playing Mega Man 2, and every time you die, it takes 15 seconds to get back into the action. Could you imagine how much that would ruin the game? Uh, it's inexcusable. I just don't understand it. And apparently that's better in the PS4 version, but honestly, I still probably wouldn't like this game all that much on the other consoles. Like the dash mechanic, I mean, it's very similar to a Mega Man. You have all your stages, you get the weaknesses from the bosses. Some of the powers are kind of cool, admittedly, but a lot of them are kind of useless in most of the stages. A lot of the times it's just better to use your Mega Buster. The dash mechanic can be fun, especially when the levels are just kind of like you dashing, shooting enemies and dashing through them, and and the game's like you've got like a speedy pace going on. You're doing some minor platforming with your dashes, but then all of a sudden these levels you have to slow down with like these really ridiculous platforming sequences with one-hit spikes or lasers all over the place. And then the game just becomes obnoxious, especially with some of the enemy placements in this game. It's one of those things that's kind of hard to describe. You have to really see it in action, like some of these stages. But honestly, most of the level design in this game is just abysmal. Like, it's either running in a straight line killing enemies, or like these really cheap difficult section, like platforming sections. Uh, but and the dash mechanic it's not. I don't know. It's not Mega Man to me. I don't know. I know a lot of people are big into the dash mechanic. I don't know. I haven't cared for it all that much. It's annoying with like the bosses, where the bosses are actually probably one of the best parts of the game. Like they have some interesting patterns, and they're pretty fun to figure out. But they take too long to kill. Like they take forever. Like their health bars are gigantic, and even with some of the weaknesses are actually not all that effective. Like the proper weaknesses against these bosses, and then you have to dash into them when you've damaged them enough, or they'll regain their health. Like that's really annoying too. Um, like one of the stages is like this stage is so fucking bad. It reminded me of like Mega Man X8. It's the kind of gimmick stage that you would see in Mega Man X8, which I fucking hate that game. Where like the boss is like this sniper, and he's shooting like these sniper shots throughout like this, I think it's like a museum or something, and you see these sniper shots come in, and you kind of have to dodge them based on like the pattern. But it's like it's so frustrating to dodge these patterns with all the enemies around. Like it's and the level just goes on forever and ever and ever, and the checkpoints are brutal. And then later you have like these one-hit kill lasers in combination with the sniper shot going after you. It's just it's so bad. I don't know. I really wasn't a fan of like the level design in this game. I just think it pales in comparison to even like some of like the mid-tier classic Mega Mans. Like I played through Mega Man 1 to 6 not too long ago on the Legacy Collection. I streamed them, and like it's laughable how much better those games are in terms of like actual level design. I don't know. I can't say I wasn't having much fun with this game. I was honestly just frustrated playing this game, like which was like complete opposite with Mega Man. What else? It says on the back, online co-op missions, online race battles. Like, who the fuck cares? Like, it's fucking Mega Man. It doesn't need that shit. Like, you have some challenge missions, which, whatever. Optional 8-bit music. I should have listened to that. Because, yeah, the music in this game sucks. Like, it's not good. It's, like, really generic electronic music. Which, Mega Man games are known for their amazing music. Yet the music in this game is fucking terrible. I don't know. I think there's like some extra characters, Ray expansion pack or whatever, but I don't know. I find this game so like it's just boring. Like I think it's boring and it's frustrating. When it's not frustrating, it's boring. When it's not boring, it's frustrating. It's just not what I want from like a Mega Man successor. I don't know. If you want a good Mega Man successor, Shovel Knight. That's your game. Play Shovel Knight. Don't play this. Don't play this. Like I don't know. Like also play Mega Man 9 and 10. Those were these great follow-up games that really got what made the Mega Man games so much fun. Like this, it's just like there's such a fundamental there isn't a fundamental understanding of what made the Mega Man games good, which it's so weird to me. Coming from Keiji Inafune. Although there's a lot of talk about him not being an actual game developer, being more a businessman. I think that was a famous Kamiya quote, which I honestly I can believe that based on this. And also like Inti Crates developed this. They did Mega Man 9 and 10, and they did a hell of a job on that game. So I don't know what happened here. Like Concept maybe wanting the game to be just nothing like Mega Man, and with this dash mechanic here. I don't know. I'm no Mighty Number 9. Do not enjoy it. I'll probably hopefully I'll be able to sell it for what I got for it. And granted, the PS4 version is probably better. The Wii U version is not the way to go. But honestly, there's just so many better options for Mega Man type games. And I bet there's a lot of people that have bought this that haven't played a lot of like Mega Man 9 and 10 or Shovel Knight. And that's kind of sad to me. Like all these people that backed this and paid like $60 plus for this and haven't actually played some of those games, or even some of the lesser known Mega Man games. I don't hear a lot of people talk about Mega Man 4, 5, 6, even 7 and 8, which I'm not like huge on, but those are a hell of a lot better than this. I don't know. It's just, yeah, luckily this isn't like a huge disappointment for me because I didn't back it. And I'll be honest, this game looked like shit from the very beginning. Like, I don't think this game's ever looked that good. And I am being pretty negative. I mean, this game isn't like a disaster or anything like that. It's playable. Like it's playable. It's just not. I don't know. There's just again, like I said, there's just so many better ways to get like your Mega Man fix. Like I just don't see the point in bothering with something like this. Like I don't know. Um, but I have heard a lot of people that do like it, so I don't know. But I don't know. I think just I don't know. I'd much rather play the original Mega Man series and some of the X games. I think the X games got really shitty after X4, but that original classic Mega Man series is still great. Like I don't think there's actually a weak game of those. Like Mega Man 8 would probably be the weakest, but even then I think it's decent. So and that's better than Mighty Number 9. So yeah, those are my extended thoughts on that. Not going to be reviewing that, but yeah. Yeah, that's about it. That's all the games I've been playing recently. What have you guys been playing? Have you played any of these games? What do you think of them? But that's it. I'll see you next time.